Hi there, and welcome to this presentation on taste changes during cancer treatment and things that we can do to help with those taste changes. My name is Amber Thomas. I'm a registered dietitian, a cancer nutrition specialist, and an online nutrition coach. So today I want to go over a very complex subject, and this just kind of scratches the surface, really, of how deep some of these taste changes go and the kinds of things that we can do to help. But it's at least a guide to get you started. On this page, you'll see that we have the 5 most common taste changes that happen during usually chemotherapy, sometimes radiation, and it just depends. So what I see with chemotherapy-based taste changes, those tend to be more of the metallic taste and the too salty taste. Those also tend to go up and down, kind of based on the cycle of your chemo. With radiation, the taste changes happen to be based on where you're being treated. So if the radiation field is anywhere in your head and neck area, chances are really good that you will have some pretty significant taste changes relative to the dose. Meaning, the lower the dose of radiation, the less those taste changes will happen, and the higher dose of radiation, the more significant they can become. So we're going to talk about each one of these tastes one by one and address ways that we could potentially use food and flavors to either mask the taste, and most of the time that's what it's supposed to do, kind of cut through some of those flavors. And then unfortunately, with a couple of these, we don't have many strategies. So let's talk about that. So for metallic taste, we have 2 different options. The first one is sweet. So when we have that really coppery metallic taste in the mouth, using sweet foods can help mask or cover some of that metallic taste. I provided you some examples of sweet flavoring agents that can help with the types of foods that you can tolerate. So look at this list and see, what makes sense. The honey, the syrup, agave nectars, juices. Let's take meat, for example. In general, red meats tend to taste more metallic. So you might want to eat white meat, so chicken, fish. Those tend to be the best tolerated. But if they still have a little bit of an off metallic taste, try marinating them in something sweet. And to that end, TART can also help with that metallic taste. I find that the TART tastes can really help cover up some of that metallic taste that you experience. And teriyaki sauces, like sweet and sour sauces, those tart, tangy, sour sort of flavors can really help. However, if you have mouth sores, tart and sour are not going to work. They will be too abrasive to the mouth, and they'll probably burn. So keep that in mind with any of these taste changes that you're seeing. If the food tends to burn, we won't be using that as a solution. But consider some of these other food items for both sweet things and for savory. So let's say cranberry. I've had people use cranberry juice or cranberry sauce in sweet dishes to add a little, take away some of that metallic taste and change up the flavor profile. So vinegar-based sauces, even think mustard or anything that has Italian dressing, that vinegar base, those things can help. Off flavors. So off flavors, and our next slide, cardboard flavors. We just don't have very good strategies for that. Problem is, it's so highly individualized what that actual taste sensation is, even off flavors. I've heard descriptions all over the board about what things taste like. Even just things are spoiled to really very descriptive items that, yeah, no kidding, you don't want to eat that. That sounds like it tastes horrible. The thing with this, with off flavors, there may be some of the other methods in these other slides that can help. So you can try, sweet foods. You can try the tart sour foods. You can try that tangy, bitter, something. Just try it. Really, all flavors are very personalized flavors as well. And it may change. Unfortunately, some food that works one day may not work the next. And that's kind of the same for the cardboard taste too. So when food doesn't have taste, it can really, really heighten the texture of your food. So things that you didn't really think about texture-wise may become really an issue. For example, let's say you want to have some rice with one of your meals. You can't taste it anymore. It just kind of has the texture of glue, and it can have the texture of being too grainy, too much in your mouth. I've had a lot of different descriptions for food, like cottage cheese and applesauce just being too texturized and causing people not wanting to eat them. So keep in mind that texture may become a more important factor for this one. And what do we do with that? What kind of textures can we tolerate? So would it be easier for you to tolerate smooth, creamy sort of textures? Can we rely more on drinks and smoothies and blenderized soups and things like that? Pretty much just to get them past the mouth, to avoid that texture, that heavy texture sensation, and get some nourishment in that way. So for too sweet, bitter works pretty well. So these are some common bitter foods that can be added in, and it really can make a difference to take down that sweetness a notch. So let's say you're taking one of those oral nutrition supplement drinks, Boost, Ensure, something like that. It's super sweet, you can barely stand the flavor, but that's a form of food that works for you. Try a little bit of coffee in that, if you like coffee. Here's the kicker, right? If you don't like coffee, that's probably not going to work for you. But I've actually had people try cranberry juice. I know it's not on this list, it's more of the tart sour, but it can also kind of take down that sweetness a notch. Black tea, again, the same kind of concept. It can do the same sort of thing. That citrus zest. So citrus itself is more of that tart sour, but the rind is where the bitterness is. So adding zest to foods may help take down the sweetness. And then turmeric can work pretty well. I've had people put it in smoothies, put it over certain other foods that just are tasting super sweet and are finding relief from that. Also, too salty. So I find this in both cases with chemotherapy and radiation, but I feel like with chemotherapy it might be a little bit stronger. Case though, if you have changes in your mouth as far as dryness, your saliva can begin to taste pretty salty. So that may be one of the things you're tasting with that. To combat the salty, we add things that are sweet. So again, this slide should look familiar. It's the just the normal kind of sweet foods that we can add different sweet flavors to saltier dishes. I mean, if you have food that is heavily salted, you probably will taste it there as well, but sometimes you don't. Keep that in mind. So also tart foods. Again, this looks familiar because we used it for one of the other taste profiles, but these are good things to try if things just taste too salty. So one of the biggest non-food strategies that I just love and recommend for everyone, hands down, across the board, is rinsing your mouth. Rinse your mouth with a baking soda and salt solution before you eat, after you eat, and it can help with some of the dryness and, let's say, thick mucus that you may have if that's part of your treatment. It can help with that. But the baking soda and salt solution is great for clearing things out of your mouth and making it kind of a blank space, a blank palate for when you do start eating. So at least the bacteria and things that are hanging out in your mouth between meals is not going to affect the taste. Metallic, we have the most tools to help with the non-food strategies for a metallic taste. So using plastic utensils and avoiding canned goods can also take down some of that metallic taste. So with our food choices, being open to variety and exploring different flavors and different textures can be very helpful to make sure that you can stay as nourished as possible. I find that having the cardboard taste and having that off taste can be incredibly limiting to how much you can eat. So again, keep in mind things that we can get down quickly work sometimes the best in those situations. So you may not be eating full meals, food-based meals in those cases. You may actually want to try the liquid drinks, the high calorie, high protein smoothies, milkshakes, and things like that to make sure that you stay nourished as much as possible. So just know that taste changes are hard. Taste changes are incredibly hard to deal with. I mean, there's some strategies here, but really, you know best what works for you. And I hope you will embrace the attitude of experimentation. So trying different flavors, trying different food profiles to see if there's something that sticks. Keep in mind, your taste changes are going to change and morph. And, you know, as you begin to heal, they may become less of an issue. So experimenting at that time as well is incredibly important. So I hope you found this information helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now. If you would like to learn more about my nutrition coaching programs, visit my website at www.cancernutritionsolutions.com. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.